Hey, what's up guys, I'm back here with another YouTube video. I'm going to be doing a guide for Kayn in Arena. I recently hit top 10 in Arena, and not a lot of players in Arena in the top 10 actually play Kayn. And I was kind of wondering, I wanted to make a guide showcasing why I feel like Kayn is the strongest character in Arena and why he's very versatile and can get you to pretty much any rank in Arena if you're trying to take the mode seriously and make that push for top 100. So I'm going to be going over the best duels, the best augments, and the best builds for Kayn, and going over his playstyle early game to get your form the fastest. Also, I recently partnered with Coachify to provide coaching for my students and for my fellow viewers / supporters. I provide all types of coaching for all roles and all elos, and I have had a lot of results in the past 3 years that I've been coaching. So if you guys are interested in coaching from a 5-star review coach, hit me up in that link down below. And yeah, can't wait to help you guys reach your dream rank. Alright, so let's get right into the video. So for the first topic that I'm going to discuss in this video, I'm going to go over 3 topics, and I'm going to go over in like 3 sections obviously. So for the first section, we're going to be talking about the best duels for Kayn. So I'm going to mention 3 of the best duels, and then I'm going to explain why and how they work together to make this top 3 list, and then I'm gonna mention like the rest of the champs that are good and just categorize them. But for the first duo that I think is probably the best duo for Kayn that you can get in Arena or that you could duo with is Rammus. Kayn and Rammus is really broken, and I can't iterate this enough. Like, it's so broken because Rammus is so tanky. Even early on, he still does some decent damage, but what really sets him apart from the other is that he has a lot of just CC. He has really good CC with his E. His damage is very insane. He's really good at sticking onto champions. So let's say we're in a 2v2. Rammus is really good at sticking onto the target that's going to do the most damage to Kayn, so that Kayn can hit that target and get his form a lot faster. This way, Kayn is able to get his form in the first 3 rounds. Similar to Kayn and Rammus is Kayn and Gragas. The reason is Gragas does provide a lot more damage than Rammus. He provides a lot more burst, and he's really tanky, to be honest. For the last and kind of a hidden pocket pick, it's really good overall if you have a really good partner that can play this champion, Kayn and Karthus. The reason I say Karthus, and he's not really in any like tier list or any like stats on OPG or anything, is because Karthus is kind of like one of those hidden picks where he's super broken if the player on the Karthus is really good at Karthus, but he helps Kayn provide more. So he can help Kayn win in the early game like the other champs, not as much as the others obviously, because Karthus is really squishy, so he can get bursted really easily. So most of the time they just focus Kayn, but he does provide a lot of damage though, so you can win early rounds if the Karthus is good. But the reason I say Karthus is a hidden pick is because he is really good in the mid to late game part of Arena, where most of the time you have to go red Kayn because they pick a lot of tanky comps, and they can mix that with an ADC. And red Kayn is really hard. It's really bad to kill ADCs because they can kite you really easily, or they can get like a Lulu and a Kid or something like that, or a Vayne, and it just makes them killing them really hard for Kayn because they can peel you. But with Karthus, burst, and if not, you can just play with Karthus in the early game to help him get his ult, because he has a low cooldown ult, and you can pretty much chunk the squishies, and then as red Kayn you can go in and burst them. So you're always able to go red Kayn no matter what with Karthus. I'm gonna move on to the best augments for Kayn. So for the best augments for Kayn, the best augment in my opinion by far, and I don't think any of these augments even compare to this augment, it's Jeweled Gauntlet. This augment is insane on Kayn. Like, I cannot iterate how broken this augment is for Kayn. This augment allows your abilities to crit, which means your Q can crit, your W can crit, and your ultimate can crit. So the reason why this is so broken is because you can build full crit damage on Kayn. You can even get crit shards and get 100% crit, and you can literally flash Q a tank or a squishy, and you're gonna completely one-shot them. Sometimes you can even one-shot a full tank with just Q, but an ADC will not survive a Q ult. You don't even have to auto attack them, you literally just have to flash an ult, and there's no way they'll survive if you're full build. Moving on from Jewel Gauntlet, which is by far the best augment, I'm gonna go over like a tier list here. So I'm gonna put the S tiers, the A tiers, and the B tiers. There's no really like super bad augments because I don't really want to go over those, so I only want to go over what's good on Kayn. So I think for S tier, for gold augments, Outlaw's Grit is amazing, and not only gold augments, for just any augment in general, Outlaw's Grit is for sure an S tier on Kayn. You stack it really fast. It gives you armor and MR when you Q. You stack it up to 5 times. Usually you stack it in the early rounds. I mean in the early part of the round, so that you can have full armor and MR stack. Now going over A tier, I would put this one in A tier or B tier. It's kind of in the middle. Rabble Rousing, I think this one is decent. It heals off abilities, but honestly that's not that insane unless you pair it up with a dashing or bread and butter Q. If you could pair it with dashing or bread and butter, this will easily be an S tier. The next one I'm going to be talking about is Spin to Win. I would put this one in A tier. It's really good in the early rounds, pretty good mid to late. Provides your Q with 30 haste, and it gives you 30% more damage on your Q. Okay, going over another S tier, Center of the Universe. I think this one is a very underrated augment on Kayn. A lot of people think it might be troll, but honestly this augment is insane. If you don't get it first, it's like an A tier, but if you get this augment in your first round, this augment is easily S tier. This augment will literally give you form in the first round, and I posted a video on my YouTube channel showcasing that this augment literally gives you form first round. Alright, for another S tier, which is amazing on Kayn, and I know a lot of you guys probably already gotten this on Kayn, Dashing. Dashing is an amazing augment. It gives you 200 haste on all dashing abilities. So your Q, your R, low cooldown. Even your E, I'm pretty sure it provides a lot of cooldown for your E as well. That's why dashing is an S tier, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty much one of the best augments that Kayn gets. I'm pretty sure you almost get it every time you get prismatic augments. If you pair up dashing with Outlaw's Grit and Rabble Rousing and Spin to Win, it's actually an insane combo. Like, just way too much damage, lots of healing. So it depends on how you pair these augments. And another S tier for prismatics is Earthquake. Earthquake is easily one of the best augments for Kayn. Obviously, it does insane damage, helps you get form really fast in the early rounds. It literally scales super hard late game. It procs off your Q, it procs off your R, it procs off of blast cones. Another, I would put this one in A tier or B tier. It's really good, but it's not game defining, so it's kind of hard to say. I would personally, in my opinion, I would put it in B. I know a lot of other people would put it in either S or A, but this is just my opinion. I think the Brutalizer is decent. I think it's only really good in the early rounds. I think anything later, it's not that insane. And for another B tier is Thread Needle, I think. And this one, the reason I think this one is B tier is because this one's only really good into tanks. So it has a specific, like, it's not going to be always good, but if you get it, it's not going to be bad either. It's just like a B tier. And for another very, very hidden, and I think I would put this one in S tier in my personal opinion, Flashy. I think Flashy is just so insane. Being able to flash 3 times every single round is actually insane on Kayn. It helps you gap close. It helps you with literally the only problem Red Kayn has is being able to reach the targets and just flash. If you pair this with Earthquake is really insane, really good with Outlaw's Grid as well. The final, I would put this one in A tier or S tier. It just depends how you pair it. Bread and Butter Q is actually insane because it gives you 250 haste on your Q, which is amazing, yes, but I think the problem with this one is it's only for your Q, so it's not as insane as dashing. That's why I would put it in A tier. For the final point of the video, we're gonna be going over the best builds for Kayn. So the best builds for Kayn, I think my personal opinion on builds, since I've tested so many games, I have well over like 200 games in Arena. I think the best prismatic item that you can get is Duskblade. Like, if you ever have Duskblade or Prowlers, I think always go Dusk, because the utility it provides, the damage it provides is just way too insane. Pretty sure it also provides ability haste, so it just provides way too much util. Like, being able to one-shot someone instantly with a Jewel Gauntlet and Duskblade, and then going invulnerable into another one-shot is just way too good. I've outplayed so many times with this item, but don't get it twisted. Prowlers is pretty much neck and neck with Duskblade. If you don't get Duskblade and you get Prowlers, always go Prowlers. These are the 2 items that you're always going to go no matter what. If you ever get these items, just always choose one of the 2. It's just the best items you'll ever get. There's no other real items worth even mentioning. These are just the 2 best by far. There's not even any close item. The healing prismatic that I'm going to showcase here on the screen is decent, but honestly it just requires way too much to even be good. Like, the healing is okay. It's not going to really win you any games. It's going to be decent into tanks, but other than that, it's not that insane. And after you get your prismatic item, I don't usually buy like more than 1 prismatic item. I don't really think you need it. Kayn is not really that dependent on prismatic items, only on the first one obviously. Other than that, he's not really like reliant on the prismatic items. After either Duskblade or Prowlers, I go for Shojin if they have no tanks. If they have tanks, I go for Cleaver. I know Cleaver doesn't really have too many like good like win rate stats, but I honestly think it's underrated because it provides a lot of armor pen and good damage, movement speed. So it's not a bad item, but I do think Shojin is just better most of the time because they're always squishy. They don't really build any armor in this mode. They mostly build the health. So Shojin is just going to provide you with more damage on your Q, more cooldown reduction on your base abilities, which is insane. And then after that, for my 3rd item, I usually go Hellfire Hatchet. I think this item is amazing on Kayn. It gives you lethality, it gives you pretty much more % damage, and it gives you healing as well, which is insane. It also gives you magic damage, which this item is just insane. It's just way too good. They had to nerf it because it was just way too insane. And for boots, I always go Merc Treads 99% of the time because I don't really think you need steel plates most of the time. They just have way too much CC, or they get augments that provide CC, and I just feel like they always have some type of champion that's just gonna lock you down for too long. So having that extra tenacity is amazing. After that, I would usually go GA as a 4th item, and as a 5th, maybe like an Edge of Night, or if I don't go Cleaver, I would go Grudge. If not, I'll just go anything situation. Your 6 items, you pretty much want to build stat anvils. You don't really want to sell your boots. The movement speed is way too valuable unless you have flashy. So just buy a lot of stat anvils. And pretty much this does it for the build that I like to run, and which I found a lot of success getting to top 10 with. Now we're going to go over one last thing as well for the playstyle with Kayn. The playstyle early game usually is to look to your form by the 3rd round. It's super important that you fight super aggressively in the early game, but you're still playing smartly with the plants, playing around the healing plants as well as blast cones. And you're always going to want to go with the lethality starting item because this item gives you more healing for every plant you hit. And obviously Kayn's heat makes it really slippery in the early game to get around and get those plants and pretty much play around those plants to win early rounds. That's the only way you really win early rounds is Kayn, because Kayn is obviously really weak in the early game. So you want to look to play around these healing plants and play around the teleporting plants as well, just so you're able to just slip around the map and do as much damage as possible each round. After form, Kayn is pretty brain dead. You just pretty much go for top priority target. Usually early you would go for melee, since in this mode honestly red Kayn is like the only real viable form. Blue can be you can go blue when they're all squishy, but I'm gonna make a whole nother video on blue if this video does well, and if you guys want to see a guide for blue Kayn, because I have played a lot of blue Kayn as well, and that's why my opinion on blue Kayn is very negative, to be honest. I hope they buff him soon. They did nerf red, but I still think even through the nerfs he's still really good. But I do hope they buff blue so that you can have more flexible playstyle. I wouldn't even mind if they nerf red, as long as they buff blue a little more so you can have fun with both forms. But like I said, that's pretty much the early game playstyle for Kayn. And if you guys like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think down below. And also check out my Coachify coaching profile for good rates. Thank you guys so much for watching.